Lord Lucas.
My Lords, I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper.
My Lords, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs takes all forms of evasion seriously. HMRC has established a task force to undertake operational and intelligence gathering activity to investigate this form of VAT evasion by overseas online retailers. Joint investigations with other government agencies are already underway, and further targets are being identified. Contacts have been established with key commercial players in the sector, and liaison continues with relevant international fiscal and law enforcement authorities.
My Lords, I thank my noble friend for that encouraging reply. As HMRC knows, for some long while, Amazon and eBay have been collaborating with hundreds of overseas retailers to defraud the taxman of millions of pounds every day. And it seems to me that HMRC has been very slow in its response. Does HMRC realise the importance of effective and speedy enforcement for the fairness of the tax system and for the protection of honest internet retailers? And why has HMRC been so reluctant to work openly and actively with UK businesses who know this part of the internet backwards and are in a position to help them make their enforcement effective and speedy?
My Lords, the HMRC certainly does engage with other businesses, and in particular the online businesses. They've also set, and they have dedicated customer relationship managers. In fact, there was a meeting with the top online retailers only at a very senior level only last month. And HMRC have dedicated 25% of their customs and international trade operational resource to this problem and have set up a national task force to deal with it.
My Lords, ever since 2010, when this Chancellor came to office, I've been astonished that ideology has triumphed over rationality, and the government, while purporting to have a campaign against tax evasion, slashes the staff numbers in Inland Revenue. Now, can the Minister today give the assurance that the proposed drastic cuts proposed to the Inland Revenue Service do not result in the dismissal of any staff whose returns to the revenue are greater than the costs of their employment?
My Lords, the spending review, the Chancellor did confirm that HMRC is making savings of 18% in its own budget through efficiencies. And, of course, in this digital age, we don't need taxpayers to pay for paper processing or 170 separate tax offices. But, my Lords, the government is reinvesting £1.3 billion of its savings back into HMRC to transform it into one of the most digitally advanced tax administrations in the world.
My Lords, this is not the first time that we've been...
As a director of a chain of retailers with 200 shops and a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation, the problem is with non-exempt taxable persons. The solution is to either implement Article 14 properly or to bring in regulation, as we're allowed to do by derogation because it's evasion, and push the problem back to the retailers so that they are the ones who police the evasion of tax.
My Lords, on the question of whether online platforms should be made liable for the VAT and the duty, I can say that HMRC is looking at all possible solutions now, and it cannot rule anything in or anything out.
My Lords, is the noble Lord aware that some years ago, 10 years I think it was, one of the subcommittees of the European Union Committee looked at e-commerce, and we were astonished to find there was almost no data within Europe. I know it's a wider issue than Europe, but within Europe, which is one area where transfer pricing is a big issue. So one cannot be surprised that HMRC have multinationals running rings round them. Will the noble Lord look into this question of data collection so that the Inland Revenue data matches the Board of Trade data as to how much e-commerce there is, rather than it being treated which is not now the case, as insignificant in numerical terms?
Well, the Noble Lord is absolutely right in identifying data as being one of the crucial enforcement tools. And one of the things that the task force that's been set up is, first of all, to enable cross-government cooperation with other government agencies, but also to look at questions like data.
My Lords, would the Noble Lord Minister say whether the government had considered perhaps a packaging tax on these companies to discourage the wasteful use of wrappings and also to contribute to the cost of their disposal?
My Lords, that's some way from VAT tax evasion. But I'm not aware that the Chancellor has considered a packaging tax, but he hasn't informed me.
My Lords, the Noble Lord the Minister referred to efficiency savings in answer to my noble friend Lord Davis. How much longer will people have to wait to have telephone calls answered when the efficiency at the moment is improved, or will they have to wait longer?
Well, obviously the idea is that they won't have to remain long, because I think everyone has acknowledged at HMRC that this service that was provided to individual taxpayers was substandard, and that's why the HMRC have recruited and have got more people in training. And they very much expect, and we all expect, that the service will be improved.
Has the Minister had the opportunity of looking at John Swinney's first Scottish budget, using the extensive tax powers that have already been devolved to them, none of which he used to carry out his so-called anti-austerity programme? In view of the fact that we are now being asked to give them even more powers, would the government support the amendment put forward by my noble friend Lord Maxton to the Scotland Bill, that if they don't use it, they should lose it as far as these powers are concerned?
My Lords, again, some way from VAT tax evasion. And I'm afraid I have to say to the Noble Lord, I haven't studied John Swinney's budget very carefully.
Lord Rooker.